Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket tens. In this hand, we are playing six-handed. This is a 10 NL game. Under the gun folds, and we have mid-position player raises, and then we get a call, and it's on me. So this player's playing 44-8. Mid-position is playing about 34% of hands. You can see it's 42 and EP 34. Mid position 45 cutoff. I think overall it's probably not going to be much of a difference. He's probably not adjusting based on position at all. He's probably just playing his same wide set of hands. His raise for sin stat is looking at it's 13% on the button. 1 out of 8. This is 4 out of 16. The cutoff 5 out of 28. I think we're looking something probably like 20% maybe. This is 25%. This is probably close. Let's get rid of that jack 8. This could be his range that he raises with just right off, and then he limps. He does have a limping range. He probably limps like weaker hands off of that. So like some of these suited kings, suited queens, probably, and so forth. Next guy is also playing loose. He's playing 57-17. He's got a 10% 3-bet set, so I do expect him to be raising his premium hands. On the button, he's playing 54% of hands. He's 3-betting about 13%, so overall, about 10% of hands. So for this guy, I play something like this where, it's close to 40% initially, and then when you take off some of his raises. So I think I've got on the button, this is 4% raise. We can raise it up to like 10%. Something like that. And that might be a little bit more realistic. I'm going to actually take those off. There we go. So that kind of looks a little bit more reasonable. Not sure if I like those hands or those hands. But I think this looks okay for this player. So you can see he's missing a chunk of his good hands, and then he's got some of these other speculative hands that are going to be fairly weak. Now it's on me. I should be 3-betting here. Even with these two loose players, I think I should be just going ahead and raising up to like 15 big blinds. If they both fold, they both fold. He actually has a fold to 3-bet stat. This guy doesn't. It doesn't look like he folds, but that's okay because I think he's going to be somewhat weak compared to my range. Definitely have range advantage. Even if his range constricts, we should be doing that. I didn't do that. I just called. I don't know why. I'm wondering if maybe I saw this. I thought, well, if I'm going to raise 15, I have to be willing to get it all in. Because he calls and then he shoves, and we're going to be put at a rough place. So I kind of understand that. So because of that, I think like queens plus ace king are probably out, because I think I wouldn't have minded getting it in like that. I also think some of these other hands here, I think eights, I think I probably have those. I think I probably would have raised the ace 5. And I think against these loose players, I probably would have called something like that. I don't like it. I think this is a 3-bet. So this was a mistake. And then we have the button. We don't know anything about the button. I'm just going to say we had a raise. We've got 2 callers on the button. He's going to probably call pretty wide range. So flop comes down 7-8-9. Not too bad. Connects with us. I think we have the trips. We have could have our straight. We've got the 10 blockers. We've got 2 of them out there. I think this could be a pretty decent check raise hand. Something to go with the check raise. So I think we're looking at, check raising straights, check raising sets. I'm not sure if I would do overpair. I think those are just going to be check calls. And then I think the open-enders could be a raise. Check raise, something like that. Oops, minus the top pair. So I think that's going to be our check raising range. That's what we should be doing here. So I checked, which is good. Villain 3 checks, villain 5 bets, C bets 12. He has C bets pot, which is actually pretty large. So at that point, I don't really think he's got a straight. I don't really think he's got a set. Maybe not even 2 pair. Maybe overpair, top pair, middle pair. Maybe some of these draws. Why would you do? I guess maybe 2 pair. 2 pair and set. He's betting big to try to charge. Top pair, overpair, 2 pair set. That makes sense. Would he do that large with an open-ended straight draw? Yeah, probably. We're going to go with this. So you can see his C-bet stat is pretty decent. That gives him 43%. I don't think he's going to be way out of line here. If I check raise, is he going to give up any of those? I mean, he's the guy that we expected with the check raise. If he adds in hands like... If he adds in hands like these, all of his broadways, actually, we can just do this. That makes sense. I think if he does that, then yeah, we can check raise easily. We'll do that. I think we'll play. I mean, he does seem passive, so no. At 44-8. Pre-flop raise 8%. How do we get the... Yeah, pre-flop raise first in 18%. Maybe this range is a little too big at 25%. We want those. Let's narrow this range because he just seems like he doesn't raise as much. Yeah, that's better. Okay, that's the range that we'll play here. Yeah, I didn't catch that. I don't know why I went that high. I don't think he's up 25%. He's going to be someplace in the middle. I think that's better. So, yeah. I think he's got a pair, maybe a draw. I think the draws are a little less. I think that's what he's looking at. So at that point, if we had check raise, I bet he doesn't fold. So maybe our check raise isn't as good. Maybe we are looking to check call, maybe even lead the turn. Villain 2 folds. So villain 2 could connect with all these middle hands, but overall you can see he's gonna miss. The only other guy is this guy. If I just call, what does he call with? I think he calls with top pair, middle pair, maybe. I think he calls with his draws, or at least with the open-enders. So 53% chance that he calls. And he's got a lot of these one card open-ended straight draws, and he would call. Now getting back, I think reevaluating. I think I did kind of like the check raise here. We think we've got a hand to check raise, but I don't think this villain is being tricky with the c bets. I think he's a little bit more straightforward. So I think maybe we check call the straights, the sets, the overpair, the top pair. I think we have a shot to call with the open enders. Gut shots are kind of a stretch. I think with our one card gut shot, I mean, we've got jacks. We're calling those two. I think we're calling those two. So 66.7. We're definitely going to have a lot of draws here. But he doesn't know what kind of draws we have. So a 5, a 6, a 10, a jack would all be pretty decent for us. Actually, no, I forgot. Got shot with the jacks. We're only calling with the jacks. Yeah, I think that's it. That's a little bit, that's tighter. So I do call, and then this other guy calls. So I think we're just gonna go with like that, like what we already planned for. So the pot's getting big at 48%. 9 comes, 9 of spades. So now we've got spades, and we have possibility of a flush. Could we lead here? I think we could. Question is, why would anyone lead? We could lead if we think we have, like, what would a lead mean on this board? If someone leads into me when that 9 comes, I am thinking that they have something that's decent but not great. So maybe like a 9-10. So trip 9s with a 10. I don't think they'd have a full house. I think maybe they could have picked up the club or the spade. So maybe like a 10 jack of spades, or 5-6 of spades, 10-8 of spades maybe. They still have the open-ended, but they pick up the flush. I don't think a lot of people would lead here as a complete bluff. And I don't think they're leading with overly weak cards. I think at this point it would be a 9 that they would be betting. I don't even think they'd be betting over cards here. So if I lead, I think you could lead quads. I think you could lead the full house. I think you could lead the straight. I think if we lead the straight and get raised, it's going to be hard for us to call. So I think we were restricted to quads and full house, and then maybe flush draw, like a combo flush and straight draw to kind of offset it. That's one way, but I also think checking is going to be appropriate. I think we're going to probably, if he's betting again, he's going to be betting fairly large, and then we'd probably have to get it all in. So we'll discuss it. So the check and villain 3 checks and the villain 5 checks. So I was going to say, if he bets, I think we're going to, and if he bets pot again, or if he bets half pot, I think we're we're looking at commitment at that point. I think we're probably going to be check raising our quads, full house, and straight, getting it all in. I think we are probably, to balance it. Oops, let's get that. I don't think 3 of a kind is strong enough. To balance it, I think we are doing our flushes. Yeah, probably all of our flushes here. I think we could do our open-ended straight draws. And these are too many. Yeah, I think 10-9, pocket 10s. I mean, we block those 10s. So it really makes it harder. Kind of makes it think he would at best be calling with a gut shot. I think that could be a strong check raise all in range. And 3 of a kinds, maybe. Maybe we throw it in. That's a 10-9. Yeah, maybe it gets thrown in there. Overpair is going to be kind of rough. tens and jacks. I don't think that's strong enough, but we didn't get the opportunity. So let's go back here, because this is the villain. He had the opportunity to bet, he chose not to. Maybe he has quads. We're gonna scale that and say, you know, maybe that there's this chance. We'll say 75%. I think 25% chance that he would have actually bet. I think maybe the full house would do the same thing if he had it. There's a chance that he was gonna bet, but then he's gonna check again. Three of a kind, I think, definitely bets. I think the overpair bets. I think middle pair probably checks along with some of the draws and so forth. So I think he's kind of gearing up to either be weak or possibly have this monster hand. I'm kind of excluding these little ones. There's also the possibility, though, that he had a bunch of overcards that he actually bet and then checked behind, but I'm not sure about that. So king of clubs comes out, and because he is a passive player and he c-bet and then he checks behind, I'm a little skeptical, because I think playing two overcards might be a little out of line for him. So when we look at our range now on the river, I think we lead quads, we lead our full houses. I think those are the only things that we lead. I think everything else is probably just going to be a check. And I'm going to hate calling with the straight three and the three of a kind. But I think we probably do need to call that. Villain bets 10 now. So he had 100% of his range. Now he's betting. He's probably looking to get some value. And I think at best we're looking three of a kind plus. So that's 31%. We're behind all of those. Yeah, maybe he's betting a top pair hand, you know, like with a king. Maybe he's betting jacks and 10. Maybe he has a weak pair. I don't think so. I think it's looking something like that. That would be basically make those hands a bluff. Villain 5 calls. So we had a bet. Villain 5 calls. So he bets small. Maybe that bet size has something. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily bluffs. I think we're going three of a kind plus. And then he calls, and yeah, I'm just going to have to be strong. And I'm having a sense maybe I'm way off, but I think we're going to have an easy fold with just a one pair hand. We should probably fold. And we did, and I think that's probably the good play. That's a good play. So they saw the river. So he had quads, and that is, wow, small chance. This guy had queens, so where did we lose our queen? Oh, yeah, because we said we assumed he would have bet with the overpair. Well, no. I should have left that in there because that's consistent. Once a 9, there's a straight on the board, and there's, you know, 2 9s on the board. I think villain's just going to freeze up a little bit. So kind of makes sense that he's doing the queen too. So I think what we're going to have to do is take some notes. I don't know who this player is, but and the 9s, there's really nothing you could do. But at least the queens, he bet 3, and then he bet pot with the overpair. Once the pair board, you know, he checked. I think that's important to know, and it kind of matches his play style. He didn't c-bet with nothing. He c-bet with an actual decent hand. But then once the board got a little bit scarier to where he might not have the best hand, he gave up and just checked behind. Glad I folded. I was behind both of them, and I sensed, and I think I was, based on this, it was starting to see that, okay, this guy is actually pretty strong. Could we have folded the flop? Yeah, we could have. I don't like it. And actually, then, you know, leading it off to say, yeah, this is a good check raise range. It was against certain opponents. I don't think this is one of the opponents. I think it would have been good, like, against him. If he was a pre-flop raiser, look at his c-bet on the flop, 74, 80%. He's c-betting a much wider range. Look at this guy, 96 and 69. He's c-betting a much wider range. He's going to have a lot of like unpaired hands. That makes the check raise work out good because we've got value hands and we've got draws and we've got quite a few draws. And when they fold all their weak hands, then we profit. Whereas this guy, he c-bets in position. He's out of position 1 out of 24. He's not overly aggressive. Maybe a 75%, but he doesn't raise a whole lot. So when he does c-bet, he has good cards. It's almost like he prefers to limp more than to raise. All right, hopefully you enjoy this, and if you do, look tomorrow for another one.